How does my ATN products make me a better deer hunter and make me more successful? Stay tuned to find out. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about ATN products and how they made me a better deer hunter. I'm going muzzleloader hunting. This is going to be my second hunt of the year. First muzzleloader hunt. And on my muzzleloader, I do not have an ATN scope because of the mount situation. I only use it 10 days out of the year. From the 1st to the 10th is muzzleloader season. So I'm going to talk about my thermal scanners. How did my thermal scanner save my hunt today on this last hunt? So going out to a muzzleloader spot, I have other spots that I set up for my son and my grandson. What I do is I go out and explore new areas. So I found a new area last year, had a little bit of success at it, but I wasn't successful in harvesting. But it is an oak woodlot with a ridge on top of it. And as I'm up on top of that ridge, on the edge of the oak woodlot, I'm looking down into the oaks. Behind me is the agricultural fields. And the reason I like it is that edge, and I'm right in some bedding areas. To my right is going to be a doe bedding area. To my left is where the bucks normally bed. And I'm walking in there early in the morning. I got to get there before the deer get there, leaving those agricultural fields, coming into that woodlot. So the key to that is my thermal scanner. The thermal scanner I use for coyotes and hog is now going to help me in deer season. As I'm going in, I'm walking along that edge, sliding in. I'm checking the agricultural fields. I don't want to spook any deer before they get into that woodlot. But as I approach my stand, I got a cluster of oaks. It's 3 oaks together, 3 oak trees that come out of one root system, big old oak trees. My stand is right in the middle of them, and there's 2 deer bedded right underneath that tree, right where I set my stand up. First time in this area, so I didn't know exactly where they bedded, but I knew it was a bedding area. I'm making my way in. I see those 2 deer bedded. What I then do is I just slide off on that wood line, get underneath a cedar, and I'm going to watch those deer until they leave, and then I'm going to slide in there. I got to be over there in the morning. That's where I've seen some bucks before in the past, but screwed up because of my blind. I got a perfect stand location now, but I got to get in there without spooking those deer. You can have the best deer hunting spot in the world. If you approach it wrong, if you spook deer before you get to it, that perfect area that you set up is now ruined for the day. Sit there and I wait, and I have my muzzleloader there. I can look through my traditional scope. Right at daybreak, another deer comes out into the field from the woodlot, coming up toward those bedded deer. I check it out. It's a little buck, and I'm just sitting there and waiting. I'm waiting for that right opportunity for those deer to leave. That buck comes over, goes right around those does that are bedded right there. Doe comes out in the field, and they make their way down over the ridge a little bit. About 50, 60 yards down over. Now's my chance. Pack up my stuff, slide in there. I'm still scanning, even in the daylight. I want to move in there when those deer are no longer there. Get up in my tree, and it's perfect. Got in there without spooking those deer. Just imagine if I'd have went in before I had my thermal scanners and walked in there, spooked those deer. I may not have seen anything the rest of the day. I get up in that tree stand, and it's not long after that. I got 4 doe underneath me. We'll do a little bit of video. Right underneath me, that group of does goes off to the left, and a buck pushes them out of there. A nice shooter buck pushes them out. They come running down, and they run down into the woodlot. I cannot get a shot in the open at the buck, but I sit there and I wait. Now, this is another great thing that I like about my thermal scanner is in the daylight, I can look over and I can still scan for that buck or scan for any deer. I'm going to see that heat. I would see pieces of a deer feeding in the area. Man, I'd pull up my muzzleloader, pull up my scanner, and I'd line it up, and then we're going to have a little bit of video of just pieces of it's a really red deer. It's a doe over in the oaks feeding right now. Back and forth feeding, but I know that other buck is still back over there somewhere. So I'm looking with my thermal scanner. The 4 doe are over here to my right in a group. They would feed around me. I'd catch a little bit of them. Same thing. I'd scan, catch a piece of them, look up, identify it as a doe. I finally look over and I see that redder doe again, and you're going to see in the video, I pulled a video camera up for a while, and that red doe goes off to the side, and then you're going to see a buck behind it. Different colored deer just in the background. That's what I caught. They come down in front of me. The doe comes over to my right with the other doe, and them two bucks go down in there. Two other bucks come down in there, and they start to fight down below me in one of my hunting lanes. They fight down there for a good 15-20 minutes, and then they come walking right up. They're actually directly right underneath me, go down to the right, and they make their way out of there. ATN Optics, that thermal scanner. The OTS LT3, the 6, this is the 320 core. This is my favorite. This thing is a tank. It's beaten, tore up, dented, scratched. This is the one I go to all the time. I also have the Odin LT 320 I've been using. I like this one because it'll fit right here in my pocket, and I could just pull it out and look every once in a while. But it's great for deer hunting, getting into that stand. If I'm in that stand for the evening hunt and deer go past me, what I then do is I check that field, check those ag fields, check that area before I go down. I do not want to spook deer going in and out of my stand locations. The thermal helps me determine once those deer move off. You're also going to find a lot that you think deer come from a certain direction, but you're going to catch that heat signature, and that buck's going to come up this way, and he's going to come in from another direction, but he truly came from a totally opposite direction than you thought. You're able to move your stand locations, get over there when the wind is right, and it's going to make you a better deer hunter using these thermal scanners to get in there in the morning, get out there in the evenings, follow those deer, watch those deer, and then when you eventually harvest those deer, to recover them. You're going to be able to use that thermal to recover them. So that's just a little bit how ATN Optics helped me, even besides the scope. We're going to get into rifle season. I'm going to have the scopes out there pretty soon, get you some great video. But those thermal scanners, they help me out a lot in the morning getting out into those areas, those prime areas that I picked. I want to get in there without spooking those deer. Thanks for subscribing, and watching. Plenty more to come. 70 kills this year. We're going to go at least for over 100 here in the last 3 months. We're into deer season now. We're going to go out there and get a couple nice bucks. Stay tuned.